And we're on. Welcome back to another episode of Wicked Tuna Real Talk. Thanks for being with me. I got Dave. I got Paul. This is the breakup, right? So this is the breakup episode, the mutiny, so to speak. Mutiny on the bounty or mutiny on the .com, I guess it is. I mean, we know why it happened, right? We see some of why it happened.
Legal separation.
Oh, yeah. A conscious uncoupling, I think it was called once.
That works.
From your perspective, though, when you think back on it and when you rewatch it and see how it all went down, what was it? At the very core, why did you break up?
Well, I was a little overwhelming to bear. Like, I look at it now, like being who I am today, I look at it, I'm like, if that was me and I was Dave, I would have drove the hell home and said, all right, this is it. I wouldn't even have fished the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. A lot of kudos to you, bro, for putting in the day.
Tried to keep it together.
Yeah, which you're good at that anyways, but it gets to a point where you get frustrated. Plus, we weren't catching and
that's a big part of it.
A lot of it. You got to remember, we're together more than you are with your girlfriend or wife or family. Mm-hmm. We're together on a little tiny boat. And it gets frustrating. But there was no, like today, my person now would never act like that. Well, nor would I put up with that.
Dave, from your perspective, what was it?
I think, it was, again, we fished a lot together. He was living at my house for quite a while.
Yeah.
And, it just got, when Paul is on, he's on. It's fun. It's a good time. When we were together for
we've had so many good
decades
times
before. We fished together for hundreds of days, and it was good. But there were times where it wasn't so good. And I would look at the big picture, not just the bad times. But I tried to keep it together there. And for whatever it was, maybe we just had two captains on the boat. And this is, what do they say? There's too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yeah. And
I think we got to that point. And as much as I didn't want to do what I did, I had to make something happen. And it was his attitude was taking down, the rest of the crew, that being Sandro and I, and it was taking us out of the game.
It was literally the best thing for both of us.
But it was good. It was a good thing to happen because if that didn't happen, he might still be with me today. But I think it's a better place for him now. He's on his second boat, a beautiful boat. He's running charters, fishing on his own, and he's successful at it.
If you just watch the episode, it does feel a little bit like there was a bad day and then you guys broke up. That has to, there had to be more, right? It was leading up to that day, or was it just that one day and that was it?
No, it was a few days prior to it because we were out to sea for 5 days.
Right. You're not seeing everything,
and
remember?
little things,
right, that's what I mean.
You don't see it all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So it had to, it wasn't even just that trip.
You get good days,
No.
you get bad days, but you get good times during those bad days.
Mm-hmm. Were you
it's just like, all right, it's time for him to get his own boat and do his own thing. So
I kicked him out of the nest.
Right. So you must have been thinking that for weeks leading up to that?
I didn't want to do it. I like fishing with Paul. He's a friend of mine. He was even
we
after that.
We fish together now.
Yeah. It's not something I wanted to do. But, I got to look at Sandro, too. Sandro's kind of like in between it all, and you could see he didn't know what to do, whether to take Paul's side, my side. He just stayed neutral.
I felt so bad.
Yeah, And
you have to make a business decision.
I'm sorry. When you say you felt bad for Sandro, do you mean then or now?
I felt bad for Sandro back then because he had to listen to my crap, and he felt bad for being in the middle of it because he loves both Dave and I. Mm-hmm. It's a different thing. And Dave and I have been together 30 years before Sandro came along. So I felt bad that we put him through that. Well, I put him through that.
It's all for the better, though.
Yeah,
it really worked out.
Like you said to me, you sat me down and said, you need your own boat. I'll do whatever I can to help you, but you need to get your own boat.
Do you think you knew that? Did you know that you needed your own boat and that this was driving you crazy?
You didn't have the
I didn't have the money or the funds. Like, I was still living with Dave. And then after Dave bought a house, he rented me his condo. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I got a nice condo. I want you to live in it, blah, blah, blah. Right?
Yeah.
I was there for like 6 years. And that's what made me save the money. And then when I did the show year after year. When I got to season 4, I purchased my boat.
Right.
And after doing the Outer Banks show, I had enough money to buy my boat because I put a down payment on it.
Sure.
The owner still had my boat. And then when I came to him in the fall with the money, I got my own boat. And then I was like, all right, Dave, now what do I do?
How cool was that day?
No,
really
it was amazing.
Do you remember that day you slapped down the money? Like, here you go.
Yeah. It was an amazing feeling.
And we were together, for his build, the whole way. I stayed with him. We worked together. He took a lot of ideas off my boat. He liked the way my boat fished, the new boat. My boat,
The
when
layout
the functionality,
of it was roomy,
functionality of the boat.
nice, it was comfortable.
If you look at his boat side by side next to my boat, they look almost identical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that night, I mean, you guys have this. It's not even really a fight. I mean, I almost wish it was. It would almost be easier to call it like, okay, they had a fight, they had a blow up, but it's not really quite that. But there is certainly a breaking up.
Yeah.
Are you saying that at the end of that, you go back and sleep at Dave's house that night?
How did you get home that night?
I think you gave me a ride.
I drove him home.
Yeah.
So even after that, you got to go back to his house and sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were good.
Yeah.
It's business.
Yeah.
It's a business. Like, your friends come after the business.
Uh-huh.
And that's the way we know. We look at it,
I did the business thing, but then after it was all done, I did the friendship thing.
Right.
And you're able to separate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we did.
I mean, that's not easy to do. I mean,
No.
a lot of people can't do that.
No.
I know.
Well, like Dave said, we're looking at the bigger picture of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it feels easy to do now.
I had to own what I did and how I acted.
Did you do that
and learn
then?
from it.
Did you own it in the moment? Or
Not
was
in
it
the
not until
moment,
later?
but after reflecting.
When you have time to think about it.
have time to reflect about it,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was able to move on the way I did with him.
You said just a moment ago that when you look at how you were then, you find yourself sympathizing with Dave and the position
Totally
he's in. What does that mean? What when you say how I was then? What do you mean by that?
Well, I was very opinionated. At the end of the day, I wasn't thinking about him at all. This is his boat, his way. When you're a captain and owner of a boat, it's got to go your way. You don't let mates come on boat and tell you what to do, how to do it, what you should do. You recommend things, but you don't say, we need to do this or that. It's not the way things are done.
It doesn't really happen in this episode. I mean, maybe a little bit. It's really more in the next episode. So we'll talk more about it in the next Real Talk. But it's interesting you say that because, I mean, from a viewer's angle, the next thing you do is you go on Monty's boat and you kind of start telling him and them what to do.
But
so is that sort of just who? I mean, were you in a spot where you're starting to feel?
But that's what he
feel
asked
your
him.
oats a little bit.
With them, they were having such a hard time.
Right.
It wasn't working.
They were not fishing. If you watch it, I'll be doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need help. Someone needs a chum. Someone needs to catch bait. You have to have someone on the back deck. It's different now. The fishing's totally different. Back then, when you're chumming and cutting bait, you need someone on deck at all times.
What they had going wasn't working.
Wasn't working at all.
He was the relief pitcher in the 9th inning.
He's like a efficiency consultant, right?
Totally.
Like, hey, our business isn't doing great. Let's call in a consultant and
Same thing.
have them
And that's
recommend a
why-
Yeah,
rebrand.
and
or
that's what I
something.
did.
And that's what Billy brought you on for.
That's why I brought him
Right,
on.
right.
Yeah.
So I went there and rearranged a few things and showed them the results. The results were very rewarding. And they kind of understood at the end of it.
Yeah.
It just took a little bit to get it through to them. See what happens when you do this? It's pretty easy.
It looks
And
like
you have fun doing it.
Of course you do. Yeah. And you guys had kind of stopped having fun. And
Yeah.
so it looks in the episode as if hunger kind of becomes a part of it, which I can understand. I think everyone can relate to that. As much as not catching fish and 5
Like
days
all
together.
of it.
But when you get hungry on top of that and there's no bread for the peanut butter and
Hangry.
jelly, like, yeah.
And that bread.
The hanger's real,
And
man.
that bread.
We all know. I mean, we filmed this, let's be clear, right after we all ate lunch. So everybody's in a very good mood right now.
Yeah.
But the last one,
Yeah.
I was starting to get a little hangry. Like, I might be a little more jumpy. So whose job is it to make sure there's food on board?
We all brought a bunch of food. We didn't expect to stay out
as long as
for
we did.
5 days. You gotta remember, we're 15 hours
Right.
offshore.
17 hours.
You keep. I mean,
Offshore.
you got to keep some extra stuff around. It's not like there's a store you can go
Oh,
to
we
while
ate
you're
it
out there.
all.
But like,
And we did get some, but we weren't expecting to be out that long.
Yeah.
So we took fishing over food, staying out that extra day. We didn't want to come home empty.
Do you always know that if you have to, you can catch fish, and that's part of?
I don't eat fish.
You don't eat.
So-
Come on.
He does not eat seafood.
I don't eat any seafood. Never had it. Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Only once.
Oh yeah. That's
He ate
another story.
scallops once.
Did you get sick? Turns out you're allergic.
I tricked him.
On the boat. It was on the Duffy.
It was on the boat. I cooked scallops wrapped in bacon. And Sando, I heated them up in the microwave. And Sando and I were loving them. I was like, Dave, he was on the phone. Remember that? I was like, try one. It's chicken wrapped in bacon. He ate one and he goes, a couple more.
Oh, you liked it?
Yeah.
What happened? But he's never ate it again?
No.
You guys didn't tell me that day. You told me
Chicken
another
wrapped
day.
in bacon. We told him it was scallops like the day or two
That's
after.
so nice. It's like having a 5-year-old on board. You have to trick them into eating something, and it turns out they
Right.
might actually like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
my
was pretty
daughter's
good.
hearing this right now, and she's like, that's what Dad's been doing to me forever.
See? Chicken wrapped in bacon.
Yeah, chicken of the sea. There
See,
you
we
go.
had fun too.
Yeah. It was so funny watching you eat it.
But that does have to exacerbate the problem, right? Like whatever issues you're having, now you get hungry,
Sure.
now you're not
Now,
catching
now you
fish.
start looking for stuff.
Right, now you're just like,
Well,
man, I'm
you
just pissed
know,
off.
you still got another 17 hours before you're going to get in. But he saved the day, called another boat. They had bread and hot pockets. And so we all got to eat. It was like,
That must have been a lot better.
oh, it was so good.
Yeah, we see you guys at the restaurant. By the way, I've been to that restaurant. It's really good, right? I mean, like, it's a really good restaurant that you brought him to for the big talk. Like, if you're going to have that meeting, you might as well do it over good food.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think maybe there's a question from folks. Is there a betrayal element to switching boats in the middle of the season, even if you're not necessarily invited back? Is there any element of betrayal going to Billy's
not
boat?
at all.
No, I mean, looking from me, I don't want to see him not go fishing and not make money. You know,
Right.
he's welcome to go wherever suits you best. And you know, it worked for a while.
Yeah.
You went out, you helped him turn things around. You got him 2 fish, I think it was.
Yeah.
But you know, from my standpoint, no, I wasn't upset about it. You know, it's tough to see him on another boat. But again, I'm happy that even though we were button heads, happy to see him move on.
So there is still one part of it, though, that jumps out to me. And maybe I'm looking for drama. I don't know. But this part kind of jumps out to me. After it goes down and you don't show up, right, the next morning. Now, was that agreed upon? You were expecting him to show up, right?
I don't remember. What was it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
What I'm thinking is I might have went, for some reason, I want to say I went to Vermont.
No, that's right. Yeah, you were
I
supposed
had
to show up. You didn't show up.
to do in Vermont.
He doesn't show. You're like, okay, well, screw it. We're going without him, right?
Visit
And I
with
knew things
Vermont.
were kind of on.
Right.
On
So you
the
couldn't
edge
have been
here.
shocked because you remain pretty calm even as it's going down. You're not like looking around, where the hell is, I mean, you're like, okay, I kind of get it. This thing's probably over.
Yes.
I've been stood up at the altar. Time to move it along here. And plus you then have the conversation with Monty, who comes
Yes.
to you, as you said, and hey, you know,
Class act, right
I'm
there.
going to go out with your ex-girlfriend. Are you okay with that? And all that,
Yeah.
which is very nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a really classy
He
thing
didn't have to do that.
Why didn't Paul do that though? Like, why don't you go to Dave and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about going on with Monty's boat. Just so you know, I'm going to be out there
Was
too."
it after you had said, I'm going to let you go?
Yes. I think, yes, it was.
So I figured then, okay, I got to figure something
Let
out.
things calm down.
I think I took a couple days. I did go back to Vermont. And when I came back, that's when I went and talked to Bill. Because Bill needed some real serious help.
Right. What was that conversation like when you first start talking to Bill?
With Billy,
Had you known him for? You'd known him for
I've
a long
known
time.
him for a while, yeah.
Right. And it's been said a bunch, but
And they needed
he was
help.
a legend, right? For years and
Yeah.
years, he was a legend.
100%.
here, right? Like the top guy.
Him and his
everybody
wife
knew him.
totally crushing tunas
Right.
all the years.
But at this point, they're
were having a
in
hard
a
time.
bad spot.
It was late in the season, and I know this is our first year filming, our very first season. They have no fish. So the camera guy, Mike, says to me, he goes, I don't know what to film next. I've been going to his house every afternoon, filming him work on his race car. And he goes, I don't know. I've been doing I don't know what to do.
What else?
He's like,
This
You
is
know.
a fishing show.
yeah, we need to do something.
Yeah.
Or he goes, I don't know if we're going to have a show. Because when we did catch fish,
Yeah.
he's like, you have no idea what you just did. You have no, he was jumping for joy,
Because it
freaking out,
kind of saved him.
going, oh my
yeah.
God, saved the whole show. Like,
Right.
You just can't, oh my God, now we have a show. Ah.
Remember, when we were filming the show, we needed fish to make
It was
every episode.
slow.
It was slow.
Nobody was really catching.
Right.
So
But he's
every-
really
Dave
not
caught,
catching.
Marciano caught, and me and Bill caught. And it made the show. It
Yeah.
That's
made
it.
this conversation happen.
Well, and maybe, you know, that's why they need to bring Kevin on at some point too, right? He catches a
Absolutely.
fish and drives Dave crazy,
100%.
which is always entertaining as
There was
well.
a lot going on behind the
Ralph,
scenes.
Right?
We were all just learning
Right.
too about all of this because we didn't know like the extent of how many we were going to do 10 episodes. We didn't know.
Right.
Like at the time, we only had like 6 because
Yeah,
they
it was
made the
nothing.
breakup and then me and Bill 4. Like, so there was half the show right there. He's like, you have no idea what you just did. Oh my God.
You had taken charters out before that though, right? Like that wasn't, you had some experience having people on the boat.
Yeah, with
Oh,
me.
right.
With
But
him
Not,
too.
My
but
whole
not somebody
life.
filming your every move.
No, totally different.
I think
Because you're
anybody's-
working
Yeah.
while you're fishing.
Okay, so anybody who's never been on a reality TV show, which is, you know, almost everybody in the world, I think the one thing everyone thinks of, I mean, even going back to like movies about this, is what the heck is it like having that camera follow you around all the time? They're always there. Everything you say is on tape. I'm sure you don't have the final edit ability to be like, hey, cut that out. I was
We don't
acting
have
like a
any
jerk.
And they can
ability.
do
You got
whatever,
nothing. You
they can do
signed away
whatever they want.
your life.
We watch this show like everybody
So
else.
how big of an adjustment is it to just have this freaking camera with you all the time?
I mean, I think it was a lot.
It was
because
easy for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It was
You
just
say
easy.
whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, don't
He's
matter.
like, oh, there always should have been a camera following me. Finally, somebody figured it out.
I mean what I say and I say what I mean.
Right.
Boom.
For me, a lot of things that before I would speak, I would be like,
Think
wait,
about it.
I got to think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I shouldn't say this or say it a different way. You know, that's.
Did that
that's
change
it.
over time?
No, I think I was always looking over my shoulder before I spoke many times.
Mm-hmm. A little careful.
Yes.
And you must have had, I mean, it's not like they could come on the plane with you as a pilot. So
They
like,
did one day, not on the plane, but they did to the airport.
but they're not in the cockpit. Like
No.
you at least had some time away from it of like, hey, I've got almost a safe space where I can just go get away from this stupid thing.
Yeah, like a
and-
bathroom.
Right, exactly. Just kind of do my thing and feel comfortable and not have to do that.
Most of the time, we would start filming like an hour before we left the dock to when we were turning off the deck lights with the shore power plugged in and going home.
Even walking off the dock.
Yeah, we'd walk off the dock. They might get us going into our vehicles, driving out of the parking lot, and that's
Right.
it. Did we film other play? We'd film like food shopping sometimes to have more content.
But you knew it was going to
Attack-
happen.
Correct.
It's not like they were living in the house with you.
No,
That'd have been hard.
they wouldn't follow us into the bathroom.
Right. Thankfully. I mean, although we do get to see what Paul looks like on a boat using the bathroom, thankfully. That was really nice. I think we were all
bucket.
happy about that. Thanks, Wicked Tuna. We all wanted to see what that looks like.
Well, sometimes you
You
just.
gotta go. You gotta
yeah,
go.
I was holding it for a while. I am human at the end of the
I think
day.
there's people that might disagree with that at times. I don't know. Do you think, coming back to the conscious uncoupling here, do you think that that having the cameras on during the whole thing also, you know, we talk about hunger exacerbated it and not catching fish makes it a problem. Do the cameras lead to a bit of a problem also because you know the whole thing's being filmed?
I mean, for the cameras, what gets old and what makes it a problem is a lot of times you're trying to do things, trying to stay focused, and the cameraman is asking you questions all the time. In the
While
middle
you're
of-
focusing
while
on
you're
something?
focusing in
Like
on
what kind of
something.
questions?
Just, hey, how big is this fish when you're getting ready to throw the harpoon? It's like, hold on, let me
now.
throw the harpoon, you know, right in the heat of the moment. I didn't want to be talking about anything other than the task at hand, and that was catching this fish.
Want a perfect example? When he was asking me about that small tuna, that's when I didn't freak out, but I just overpowered him. And I said, you can't kill every little fish. God damn it. That's why he was asking me questions over and over and over, the same one. Like, why did you
How many-
let that fish go? Why would you let a little fish? Why would you let that tuna go?
Right.
I was like, you can't kill every little tuna. You've got to save the pond. It's good for conservation.
So is the cameraman doing that because he doesn't know?
That's his job.
Or is he
His
just
job.
he's trying to elicit reactions?
Well, he
right?
wants
He's
more.
kind of a producer in his own right.
And
trying
he
to
would
get
ask
the-
me the
Smart.
same question.
Right.
He's
Because
very
he wants you
smart.
saying it on. He wants you saying it on tape. Right.
Very smart.
The cameras
Ah.
definitely added for all of us an element of stress.
Yeah.
Right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I was a
that-
little more comfortable than
In time.
most people. Yeah. Yep.
Did the camera guys get better at their timing over the
Amazing.
years of the show? I mean, like, because that was new to
They
them
didn't know.
too.
Yeah.
Dude,
Right? I mean,
absolutely amazing they were.
Yeah.
When you got in with a guy who built a rapport with a camera guy, it was just phenomenal. You knew each other's next move.
Correct. They didn't have to ask us questions.
Right.
Because
you
we
just would
knew
say
the
it.
question they were going to ask. We knew what to say.
But it
and
was a
when to say
learning curve for all of us first couple of years.
Yeah.
And when the cameraman's filming and you're talking, he's going, keep it coming, keep
Right.
it coming.
More of this, please.
Yeah, it's
More
a
of this.
job.
Uh-huh.
People don't realize they're just watching a show and they think it's like happening in real time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a year before they film.
Right. Yeah,
So-
and there's some editing. I don't think there's that.
Yeah,
It's not a secret that it gets edited. But I
Right.
think the idea of there's another body there, because you don't see them almost ever.
Right.
They're not just like mechanical cameras that somebody's controlling from,
It's not just a
back
bunch
on
of
land.
GoPros. It's
There's another
big
person
cameras,
there,
yeah.
and he's not part of the crew, but he's part of the environment on the boat, right? I mean, like,
Absolutely.
you must talk while you're eating lunch or dinner or whatever. Like,
We all have lunch
Oh,
and
yeah.
dinner.
So
He
they're part of the
lives
team,
with
part of
us.
the crew.
He lives with
Yeah.
us.
right. Yeah.
And they're phenomenal.
Yeah, and all
I'm
the
still
cameramen
friends
we've
with
had have
mine.
been,
Really?
been great. Yep.
Yeah. Thanksgiving dinner and the whole deal.
He's amazing.
But Dave won't bring fish because he won't eat it to Thanksgiving. So another cool part of this episode that we don't really see any other time, certainly in the first season, is this idea of these mate tryouts, right? Where Monty, before he's hired you, he's going through these three guys, John and Ira and is it Garen?
Yeah.
And all of them struggle in their own various way. Is that typical to do tryouts for people?
Sure.
Rather than just saying like, hey, here's a contract, jump
You
aboard.
give people a
A
shot.
chance.
You give them a one day, like, hey, let's go out and see how it works.
You want to see, yeah. You give them a shot.
And a lot of them don't work. I mean, I've been through the same situation before.
For
You have,
years, yeah.
It's really hard to find someone that will show up. It's really hard to find someone that when they show up, they'll work with you. You know, they don't really need the experience. That they just need to know how to work with you.
Right.
Everybody wants to go tuna fishing until you tell them what time we're leaving the dock.
And we leave at all
Right.
different times: midnight, 10 a.m., 5 p.m. You got to be available 24
You tell
hours
them
a
you're
day.
leaving at 2 o'clock, and they're like,
What?
in the afternoon?
No.
Why?
No. We'll be 2 a.m. You ready to go? Is that how you found Sandro and Jordy? Like it was all through tryouts, or were those people that you kind of knew and kind of always wanted to work
Sandro
with?
was one of my best friend's neighbor.
Okay.
And he kept asking me, hey, could you take this kid out? My neighbor, he really wants to go fishing with you. And one day I needed someone. I called up my buddy Joe and I said, hey, can you get a hold of Sandro? Tell him to be down at the boat at midnight. And he showed up.
Yeah.
And he's been with me since. We caught that 1,200 pounder.
Right. So somebody gets sick or somebody can't make it and you need
No,
someone.
he was with me full time after that.
No, I mean like that for that first time.
Yes.
Right. Somebody doesn't show up or they're sick or something. And you say, all right, well, let's try this guy and kind of off you go.
And he's been there since, as is George. Jordy's been there as long as Sandro.
Right. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And Paul, for you, sort of same thing. You try people out and see if it works. Now that
You
you're a
have
captain
to.
yourself.
You got to give them a shot. You know what I mean?
So are the three mistakes that are made here, are those fairly typical just to kind of go through it? First, he's got John, and John does not clear the lines fast enough, right? So they lose the fish right off the bat because he's not out there scrambling to clear the lines. Typical? Is that
You
a
can
typical
tell
mistake?
You could tell almost right away.
In a few hours, if they're going to have it or not.
Okay. So that's the
Right
type of
away.
thing that's not unusual in a spot like that. It seems, though, like opening the tuna door too soon and almost flooding
Yeah,
the
that
boat.
was kind of
Yeah,
That one
crazy.
seems unique.
Yeah,
What the heck was
that
he
was
thinking?
odd.
I have no idea watching that. No
They
idea.
knew it was a little fish, so they were going to open the door to pull.
Slide him in.
We would have
But
just
it's
pulled
just-
them over the
Yeah.
side.
I mean, the fish seemed like it was nowhere near the boat at that
We
time.
usually take the hook out and let them swim away. Like
Lean over the
We
side.
did that.
Right, rather than bringing them in and then
Yeah,
throwing
we
them
don't
back out.
bring them in and hurt them.
And then the last one is Garen, who I know you know, right? You guys
Oh,
said
yeah.
that you really
Love
like him.
him.
He seems like a pretty funny dude, good guy.
Oh, yeah.
So
Very
But
funny.
he's fishing at the bottom like they do in Maine. So I got a bunch of questions on this. But that's, of all of the things, that feels like the thing you should be able to just say, hey, stop doing that. Like, I get it. If somebody's not fast enough or doesn't work hard enough or whatever,
Different.
wouldn't you just say, hey, stop doing that?
Stop going to the bottom.
Right.
But Billy,
Okay.
was not catching, and maybe he was saying, "Hey, maybe he's onto something here." But obviously, it didn't work.
It did not. That's what they do in Maine. You say they fish on
They
the bottom.
fish on the bottom
Why?
in
Just because
Maine.
it's colder?
Just different places fish different ways.
It's different. There's probably no dogfish up there.
Okay.
You come down here, it's a different world.
So you can't do it because of the dogfish, but maybe they
Correct.
don't have them there. So the tuna would still go down
At
there.
that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's different spots. Are
And-
there, when you guys went down to Carolina later, I would
Different.
imagine you must have
All
had
different.
done completely different things.
Totally different.
Yeah. Was that
Everywhere
hard?
you go, you got to be versatile.
Yeah.
Down there was
And
fun.
adapt. Oh my God, that
It was
was
a lot
so
of
much fun.
But every place fish is different. But that's what makes a good fisherman, to know
To be
what-
versatile.
To be versatile.
Okay.
And to know how to fish in different places.
So you said you can usually tell in the first couple hours whether
Yes.
or not somebody's going to work out, which is I'm so glad you said it, because one of the notes that I had for myself as I'm watching it is, hey,
How do
if
you
you're-
know?
Well, no, if you're going to try if I was a captain and I got to take on another crewman, I see whether or not this works. You know what I'm not going to do? Drive all the way to George's. Why is he taking a guy on a tryout on a 17-hour one-way trip? Like, if it doesn't work out 3 hours in, you're like, I want to throw this guy overboard.
Yeah.
But I still have 30-something hours left just of driving, let alone, why would you go all
Yeah,
the
I
way
would
there with a
definitely
tryout?
stay local with a new guy.
Right?
But I think he was that desperate for a fish, willing to take the
He
chance.
was. He was
I
that
think-
desperate.
That's bad.
He's-
That is a
he-
real
he was
level of
going all in.
desperation. Yeah, that feels
Look,
like
he
a poor
accepted
decision.
me. He was very desperate.
Well, I was going to get to that. He must have been desperate. But even in your case, he takes you out, just the two of you,
Yep.
on a shorter trip. Maybe he learned a little bit from the mess with John, but he takes you out on a shorter trip just to see if you guys can even be out there together.
Yep.
No Scott, no Donna.
Right.
It's just the two of you. How was that experience?
It was good. Billy's a wonderful human being. He just wasn't focusing on what was going on his boat.
Uh-huh.
He was so, I don't know what it was. He was crazed about you. Because,
And I didn't know that.
yeah,
Because,
yeah.
people, I know it now because we watched it.
Yeah.
But
It
out
was
there,
like-
I don't see what goes on other people's boats.
Would you have
He
acted
couldn't
any
fish.
differently if you knew that?
I mean,
Right.
I can't. I'm not going to change anything he's doing. I mean,
Right.
what happens on his boat is his business. But I didn't know he was watching us with the glasses,
All day.
both in the cabin, out of the cabin.
I was like, that's why you're not even hooking up. Nobody's threw a piece of chum in 20 minutes. So you throw a piece of chum, 5 seconds later, you throw another piece. So the chum is 10 feet apart. If you throw chum for an hour and stop
Yeah.
you just wasted
and
an
go
hour.
have a sandwich, you're not chumming. That means no tuna are coming to your boat.
Outside of your own mates. So, you can't say Sandro can't be your answer. Outside of the people that work for you on the show, who are the best mates on the show?
I mean, I can't really answer that. So I haven't, other than what I see on TV.
Right.
I don't know if they would work well on my boat. I mean, we only see what we see in
Yeah,
a small
it
portion of
only-
the time.
Right.
The
Is there anybody you
rapport you
watch and you're
have.
like, yeah, that'd be fun. I'd like to take them out on my boat if they weren't already working with my boat.
On other boats,
Yeah. Anybody jump out to you?
Jay,
Jay, I like Jay. I like Jay a
I mean,
lot.
like Carraro kept saying, like, man, I'd like to get Pirate on my boat. Like that guy would
Pyro
just
would be fun.
right. And it seems like he'd be a perfect fit with him. Like they would be hilarious together. I kind of wish that could have happened at some point just for
Yeah.
the show. Would have been funny. But are you always? I think about like a GM of a sports team, right? They're always scouting everybody else. I don't know when my quarterback's gonna get hurt. I gotta trade for somebody or a
But
starting
they
pitcher.
can go
whatever.
and watch these
Right.
athletes
And you
playing,
can't.
but we can't. We're on a boat that's half mile away, or we're 170 miles away. We really
Yeah.
don't know what's going on.
Right. What kind of mistakes?
A resume is not going to work.
No,
Correct.
people don't
It's
show
just-
up to
You
you
need
with
to
their,
be able to
their
stand
CV.
up and walk, and there's a lot to it.
Do you have a resume?
Me?
Yeah, have you ever had a resume? A fishing
No.
resume?
Fish slips, right? Fish slips. How many?
Well,
How many
show
fish?
you what
how many
I got.
fish you caught?
Right. I know Carraro just points at that old wall where he hung up all the tails. There's my resume.
that's Marciano.
Right? Or what I
Yeah,
Marciano.
yeah.
Marciano. Yeah. Marciano just points at the tails.
Here's my
and says,
resume.
Here's my
Resume.
resume. Go figure it out.
And a
He's
good
probably,
one.
he's probably got a good one-liner for that.
Oh, yeah.
Worked out as well.
He's got a lot of them.
Yeah, that's for sure. He's full of those and probably some other stuff as well. What are some of the big mistakes you've seen rookies make out there? Rookie deckhands.
Stepping all over the leaders.
Oh, yeah. And Mailman was terrible at that. Stepping on the leaders.
First thing you say, see these?
And the leaders are
leaders.
What is
monofilament.
The line, fishing
with
line.
the hook
Fishing
on
line.
it.
Okay.
And they get all scuffed
It's
up.
$1 a foot. So we use 20-foot leaders, $20, because when you scrape it, walk on it, you
It's now
scratch.
highly visible.
It's no good.
For
Gotta
me-
throw it away. Gotta recrimp it. And it's just constant, and people keep walking and walking.
And so, just so I understand, the line is so thin, right?
Yeah.
Because it's got to be invisible and all that. Like
It's never invisible.
You can always
but less
visually
visible.
see it.
less visible.
but
So
if you scratch it, it's more visible.
it's more visible.
It's more visible.
So it's not even just that it breaks more easily.
It breaks more easily. It's
more visible.
It's a
Looks like you sanded it.
Huh. Okay. So
No good.
You got to toss it. So people step on
so
it.
instead of
Yeah.
light going through it, light now reflects off it more.
Okay. But it's just on the ground on the boat? So
Yeah.
Like just on the
They
floor?
step
Well,
on
when
it.
you
They
pull them in
it
to
down,
move
checking
or
base.
whatever,
Right.
they dance all over it.
And when they hit it, they slide on it.
Uh-huh.
So you
Like-
know what's happened.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So that's a big one. What else?
And for me, it's a mate that sleeps a lot.
Okay.
I find a lot of mates, they're in the back supposed to be watching the lines when you're taking a break.
And this passed
and,
out.
And they're passed out on the
Yeah.
couch. Nobody's tending, like Paul was saying, somebody's got to be in the back all the time.
You have to
Specifically
be up
when we're
all the
chumming.
time.
Somebody's, if
It's
we're
a lot
both-
of work.
You see, you
sleeping.
see them kind of nodding off.
They don't
while
have the
they're out there.
motivation. They don't have the drive.
little
Oh,
drop,
I
a little head
found
drop.
them asleep.
Just
I want a
full on.
mate that wants to stay awake. Hey, why don't you go take a nap? No, I'm good. I want to stay back here and fish.
Really?
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, because you're looking for a go-getter. You're
Correct.
looking for somebody that
100%.
wants to match your
Has to have that
energy in
drive.
that
Like
way,
we'll
right?
work 20 hours straight.
Yeah. So, yeah, you got to have that energy. You got to have the love. You got to have the passion. I would imagine, though, while you're trying them out, you're also just kind of like first date. Like, hey, can we
Yeah.
even get along out here?
Yeah, that's important.
All of the things.
Yeah.
But that's a very important one.
I would think it would be almost the most, like, I can't imagine being out there for days at a time, full day, 24, like,
All
with a person that I
summer.
want to kill. Like, I couldn't do it.
It's a cellmate.
And there's a lot of people that drive me crazy. So
it's a cellmate in prison.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You're in tight quarters.
Yeah.
You got to be able to get along with that person.
Maybe-
And Sandra would be the perfect cellmate because he doesn't say anything.
But
You
that would
can't-
drive me crazy.
You can't have an argument with him.
That would
But-
be awful for me.
He's the opposite end of the spectrum.
Right. He would be awful
He's-
for me, too.
yeah.
I wouldn't want to be with either one of them all the time.
On his play button,
Yeah.
there is no stop.
Right. So I would think that both of those things would be challenging. Maybe it's just the right person has to. The fact that you could work with both of those two personalities, though, as long as you did, is interesting to me. You could have one guy who doesn't say anything and one guy who doesn't shut up, and you were okay with both of those things?
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It worked well. It worked well for years.
I'm impressed.
I'd do it
A
all over
lot
again.
of years.
Yeah. I don't think I could handle that. The other thing we see in this episode is the bad luck on the Odyssey, and I know everybody was crushed to see poor Ralph have the bad luck, and apparently it comes in threes. Is that a thing? Does bad luck come in threes?
Kind of make your own luck. I'm not superstitious at all.
Okay.
I could fish with a bundle of bananas as big as the table.
Don't care.
Right.
Okay.
I'm with him on that.
Love potassium.
Just don't care.
You make your own luck.
Okay. So when you
It's
see
how I
And you make, with that said, you make your own bad luck also.
That's right.
so the three things that happened to them in a row, I mean, I'm thinking about them, but none of them are things they did wrong, right? The rod breaks.
Nope, could have happened to us.
Just
So that could happen to anybody.
Yeah,
It's a $500
absolutely.
rod down the
part of the game.
You know what? See you
Yep.
later. The dragger takes out their anchor,
Happens to us.
right? I mean, those things happen. They catch a short, which happens
Happens
to
to
you,
us.
Yeah.
I think, even in this episode.
Everything that happened.
But all those
to
three things right in
Happened
a
relatively
row,
quickly.
Yeah, and that's not anything they did. They didn't make that bad luck, right?
We have
just-
had a lot of stuff happen to us.
So when that starts happening,
One day we lost 3 fish in a row,
oh jeez,
and Dave got so mad, like
I know it.
real mad.
I know what you're going to say. And I took that bait.
There was
And
we
it's
used
not-
to rig up stick baits and put weights in the head,
okay,
like so the bait was kind of heavy.
uh-huh.
He was so mad when we lost another fish. He was up the front, me and Sandra in the back. He whipped the bait, and it went right by Sandra, right?
Right, hit the deck, hit the cover boards, blew
Boom!
up, blew up.
Like loud. We
But you
looked
threw
at
them
him.
on the boat?
I lost it. And
I
he did-
calmed you down.
Yeah. And Sandra was like, I've never seen
Sandra,
this before.
shut up. And I go, look, Dave, we're going to get one. The
We
streak
didn't
is
get
gonna
one, though.
end.
We didn't get one. We got
Two.
Of course you did.
We had a
I go,
doubleheader.
and right?
Frickin'
I was the
Dotcom.
calm one then.
Wow. Hey, you really must have
I
blown
was like,
up.
hey, that worked. Right after that happened, we still had 2 rods out.
I was like,
and,
we're gonna
out of
get
nowhere,
one.
both rods were boom.
It's gonna be fine. Because he was freaked out.
How does it compare to Marciano throwing the tape measure?
That's the best. That's the best.
It wasn't like that. It was
Because
just a
what?
one time.
One time, it didn't come back and hit me.
Too bad.
No one got hurt. No one got hurt.
It was only bait.
It's only bait, not a tape measure.
It was just a bit, yeah.
Not a 36-inch tape measure.
But it worked, and we got him.
It's pretty funny.
We got both of them.
Yeah.
So you don't believe in any of the superstition,
No,
which
no.
doesn't really surprise me, especially in Dave's case. Like, there's no way he's a superstitious
No.
guy. That doesn't fit your personality
No.
in any way. That would be like the exception of your
I don't believe in it. It
entire
was meant to
persona.
be.
Right.
I
You're 100%
realized-
hard work gets it done.
Correct.
100%.
Although a little bit after that day with the doubleheader, kind of questioned it just for a brief
Really?
moment.
But
Like,
you had
maybe there's
to
some
like
karma?
relax and be positive about it.
Yeah.
Because there was fish around. We were just pulling hooks, chafing them off, breaking bobs. Every way you could lose a tuna, we were losing them.
Right.
We were hooking up every day,
Right.
but we were just losing everything.
You have a good sense when you lose a fish, whether it was bad luck or bad fishing.
I've lost 18 in a row before Dave.
Right.
Before him, I lost that many.
Do you know whether it was something you did?
No.
Like, do you know right away whether you
It's
did something wrong or if it
Just
was
like
just, hey, it
going
just
to the
happened?
blackjack table
Well, that's what I was
and
gonna say.
getting a bad shoe.
Right. But like, I know if I, don't hit on 14 against a 10 and then I lose, like, well, I did something wrong. I
Right.
didn't play the book.
No, playing by the book.
But sometimes I get no cards, and what are you going to do? I keep getting
That's
bust hands
exactly
and whatever.
what it is.
But
You
I
gotta
know the
keep-
difference, whether it's my fault or the card's
You
fault.
can't give up.
Do you know whether it's your fault or the card's fault?
Pulling hooks,
You know.
but you can't do anything with pulling hooks. That's
No.
just part of the game.
No.
You're going to bust.
Can you
But-
feel that the hook is pulled
No.
as opposed to something
No,
else?
no.
You know
So
when it
just
knows
the
what
way
it
the
is.
fish is swimming,
Okay.
what he does. I mean, who knows? If you pulled harder, you could have broke it. You
Right.
pulled harder, you could have put the hook in his mouth better. You don't know.
Right.
That's why it's called fishing, not catching.
Well, what a perfect way to end this thing. I like the drama episodes, and the drama definitely continues in the next one because now you're out there when Scott gets into the action and all that. So I'm excited. We're going to have these guys back together for episode 8, which is just, I love all this stuff. That does it for another episode of Real Talk. You can watch all of these episodes, all of the show on YouTube now, which is great. You can watch their reactions as they watch the show and laugh about how old they are now versus how young they were then. You can watch all of that on YouTube as well. There you go. That's Real Talk, and you can find it on the Wicked Tuna channel on YouTube.